This is my opinion. I think that's inexcusable for a manufacturer like SugiHara. Welcome to the Oki Woodsman channel. My name is Joe, and today we're going to take a look at this SugiHara chain. I've got some things to say about it, and in all honesty, they're not extremely good. When I got news that this was coming out, I was super excited. SugiHara is known to make some fantastic stuff. They make wonderful quality bars in Japan. What's interesting is when they decided to put out their first chain, they decided to manufacture this thing in China. When I heard that Sugi was going to make a chain, I was excited if it was going to be Japanese, because Japanese steel, if you know, Japanese steel is fantastic. They make phenomenal stuff. Sumura is a Japanese brand. Sugi is a Japanese brand. Some of the best chainsaws, durability-wise, are Japanese. So, needless to say, when I first got this thing into wood compared to C83, it was less than stellar. I really had to push on it in order to get it through, and that's a brand new out-of-the-box chain. Many people said that they didn't care so much about out-of-the-box performance because that only lasts for a brief moment. Then you file it, and they want to know how long it holds an edge for and how it is to file. I would tend to agree, but I would have to say that this chain, keep in mind I was given this chain to test by TriStar Supply. I had high expectations. That's why I tested it against Husqvarna C83. That's one of the best performing chains there is. And like many said, out-of-the-box performance is less critical in terms of how the chain performs in the long run, but there is a major issue with this chain. And what that is that for many people, out-of-the-box performance is the best they're ever going to have. Now, for you seasoned woodcutters, we know that you can get your chain better than out-of-the-box quite often. I'm kind of on that line where I can meet, sometimes exceed, sometimes less than meet out-of-box performance because I haven't been cutting my entire life. But now I find myself cutting quite a bit more often because we have a firewood business. We burn wood, and I flat out enjoy running a saw. Let's see if we can figure out what's wrong with this chain and why it just didn't want to cut out of the box like it ought to have. We will put a file on this here shortly to see how it feels, but I want to see where the rakers are on this chain. Now, I will tell you this chain did see some use, and I unfortunately got into some dirt or some rocks. I haven't reviewed my footage yet, but I have a suspicion that I got into the rocks because I felt like I needed to get on the dogs in order to make headway through the wood with this chain. This was not a fall through the wood type of chain out of the box. Let's go ahead and see where that raker is. It feels like it's a tad bit high, and this is what I'm using so you can see for yourself. I think it's time for a new flat file. This one's seen better days. Yeah, the rakers are high on here. That's all it's to it. I would say that the rakers would be the reason why this chain didn't cut. I don't know if that's intentional on Sumura's part, so that way you can set your own rakers, but I can tell you this right now. There's a lot of people that don't even understand the concept of rakers, and if they buy that chain, they're just going to think it stinks. So this is where we're going to start. Go ahead and color that tooth here. This is a used file. I'm just going to go through here. I can tell you right now the tooth doesn't feel extremely hard. I can tell you that went nicely. It filed well. I'm not personally one that's looking for the hardest tooth possible. I find that if you keep it out of the dirt, the softer teeth are sufficient. We're going to do this and then we're going to cut with it. One thing I do like as far as filing on it is that it doesn't catch weird because there's no weird grind to it from the get-go, so you can just stick a round file 7/32 right in there and you're good to go. pretty easy. It's already profiled for you, which is good. I do like that it has the angle guide on the back of the tooth here. I rock this pretty good, everybody. So that's a good clean edge. Yes, it's a lot of swipes because it has to be a lot of swipes. I hit the rocks. This is either a steel or an echo file here. It has filed a couple times, so I'm happy to see that it's still cutting. This is actually my first time filing in my new shed, in this new setup. I'm all done filing, but I gotta be honest with you, I may have messed this one up. I've never done this before, but there's gonna be some hungry rakers for 7 cutters or so, which may cause some chatter. This is the problem with being cheap. I have this gauge here, I have this one that's pretty new and a little bit used, and I have a brand new one. Well, you know, hey, I'm gonna keep using my old one, right? Let me show you what happened. They don't last forever, and these guides wore out, and this essentially I was filing way past it, what it needs to be. So this is going in the trash. Yeah, it's done. I think we're going to go ahead and get a good idea if this is what the issue was, if it was rakers or what. Need to clean up a little bit. I'll get into some of the bigger sycamore here in just a moment as well. So come along with me. I have a solution to this. I just haven't done it yet. I can tell you right now that that saw cut way better with that SugiHara chain. This is my opinion. I think that's inexcusable for a manufacturer like SugiHara with a name like they do to send out a chain without properly set rakers. They say they're supervising the build and the manufacturing of that chain, but if that's the case, they've done a bad job. I don't know if this is a chain that's designed to SugiHara's spec or if it's a quality control issue. Tell me your thoughts now that the chain has been sharpened. And again, I don't think it's the sharpening, it was the raker setting. I was able to zip through and have much more fun with my saw. Previously, it was too much work because I was pushing on the saw. That's not the way to cut. That's not the safest way to cut. Until SugiHara fixes that, I would recommend getting something like Oregon EXILE. The SugiHara chain may get worked out, the details may get worked out, but unless it was significantly cheaper, you can buy no-name Chinese chain that performs better than that out of the box. And so Sugi is charging premium prices for a Chinese chain because their name's on it, and then they don't even have it right. That's just the honest truth. Again, I did get that chain as a tester, and I want to thank TriStar Supply for getting that to me. It's the earliest place I've seen it. And just so you know, TriStar got these chains, but they wanted to get them out there to see how they would perform. And so if you're interested in any other things on their site, if you want to try a Sugi chain and see what the heck you find, if you want to get one, knock down the rakers a little bit, there's a lot of people that buy any chain and file the rakers way down right from the get-go. That's not what I do, but that might be what you do. If that's what you do, again, that's not recommended, but this chain might be a great option for you. It filed well. I thought that every tooth was equal in hardness. I can't really say if it's soft or hard. In fact, let's go ahead and just take a look at the chain real quick. I went ahead and, you know, I stayed out of the dirt. I think we're in good shape. I don't think there's any issues with the chain other than misset rakers out of the box. And again, unless you know what I'm talking about, this is probably not the chain for you, but I would recommend always learning how to set your rakers. That is an important part to enjoying running a chainsaw. Remember, TriStar Supply doesn't just sell SugiHara stuff. They sell all sorts of performance parts. There's a 10% discount using my code below. So make sure you check out their site, especially if you're interested in that clone saw world, because they do a unique thing. They build clone saws, sometimes with OEM parts, to get them the way they ought to be. I think that's pretty interesting. Tell me what your thoughts are. I'll see you on the next one.